Hello darlings, I hope you've been well. Hope all is good. Today I wanted to talk about illness at any size and like how you can have an eating disorder at any size and how I believe you can have anorexia at any size and how, doctors don't believe that. And there's like this special term called atypical anorexia and I kind of want to talk about that and how I think it should just be called anorexia. So let's get into this. I made a video the other day about how NIDA is very, I hate this word, problematic. They are an organisation who like to push the idea that anorexia looks a certain way. In movies and TV shows, it's always a skinny white girl. I talked about how that's not true in that video. I talk about it quite often. Eating disorders don't look one way. Anorexia doesn't even look one way. Eating disorders are first and foremost a mental illness. They are not a physical illness. They have physical side effects, but it's not a physical illness, it's a mental illness. Because of the diet industry, we have this toxic, wrong idea that health equals skinny and skinny equals health. But then also we have this idea that you're only sick enough if you're underweight. It's bizarre. Fat people are told that they're unhealthy, inherently unhealthy, whereas skinny people are told that they're inherently healthy. You could literally have someone who's got anorexia, like they're skinny but they don't look like they're dying, and they might get complimented on how they look. They might be told, oh, how do you do it? Give me tips. When in reality, that person is literally dying of anorexia, a fatal disease that kills 1 in 4. Why is it skinny people get complimented and assume that they're inherently healthy and fat people get told they're inherently unhealthy? Body size does not determine someone's health. Like, this is so important to understand. Like, the fact that we've all been brainwashed to believe that skinny people are inherently healthy. Like, think about people who are drug addicts who are really skinny. Like, weight and body size isn't an indicator of health. I just really wanted to start the video by saying that if you're not looking like you're on death's door and like severely underweight, you might even be told by professionals. They'll hint that they can't help you yet because you're not dying yet. I'm genuinely so sorry if anyone's experienced this invalidation from doctors and GPs. There's a massive misunderstanding of what eating disorders look like, and eating disorders don't really have a look. They are a mental illness, and they are in fact an invisible illness. You can be any body shape, any race, age, gender. They don't have a look, they're an invisible illness. Like, you can't look at someone and tell that they have an eating disorder. And I feel like everyone in this fucking world doesn't understand that. Neurotypicals, it's like porn for them. Like, it's like trauma porn for them. They love seeing like underweight individuals. You can tell because of the TV and media that they've consumed, they believe that only people who are severely underweight have an eating disorder. And this is not me saying get underweight to be taken seriously. It's not a problem with you. Sick enough isn't a thing. It's a problem with society as a whole. Like, you are sick enough as you are now. There's no such thing as not sick enough. Like, eating disorders are invisible, and it's not your fault that the world doesn't understand that. It's fucking hard existing as a person in recovery where this whole world is obsessed with diet culture and they prioritize thinness and everyone's glorifying thinness. But once you compliment someone on their weight loss, you might be complimenting their eating disorder. You could be complimenting like an illness like cancer or something. Losing weight isn't a good thing inherently, and gaining weight isn't inherently a bad thing. And just because someone was underweight and you never got underweight, it literally doesn't prove anything. It doesn't make them more sick, doesn't make you less sick. It literally doesn't mean anything. If you take someone who's overweight, I'm sorry if this is triggering, like trigger warning for talk of starvation. Someone who's overweight has been starving themselves for like a month. They internally are having the same bodily malnourishment and like dysfunction. Like, their bodies are still dying. Like, just because someone's bigger than another person doesn't mean they don't have the same thing. This is where I get really pissed off at like doctors and stuff, because doctors have this massive medical thing around fat shaming. Like, there's so many doctors that fat shame. There's so many women who get told, say they have like endometriosis or uterus cysts, they'll be like a bit overweight and they'll just be told by doctors, lose weight and your symptoms will go away, you'll be cured. They come back, they lose weight and they're still ill. doctors need to stop the fat phobia, oh my god. But this is where the diagnosis atypical anorexia kind of pisses me off. I think it should just be called anorexia. I don't think the image everyone has in their minds that anorexia looks one way is healthy. I think it's so unhealthy that everyone thinks anorexia looks how you think it looks, you know, like you might picture like a skinny white girl. You can be a healthy weight and die from an eating disorder. There's this video by this amazing YouTuber called What Mia Did Next, and it's her most popular video, and it's called The Photo Everyone with an Eating Disorder Needs to See. I always talk about this video, and before you go watch it, definitely like a big trigger warning. It's the most disgustingly heartbreaking, gory, just devastating photo you might ever see. It's this girl who had died of bulimia, and it's so graphic, like it's really like quite a traumatic photo, but it proves that you can be any weight and die from an eating disorder. Just because you're a healthy weight or overweight, it doesn't mean you're any less sick than someone who's underweight. And just because you got to a low weight, just because when you were diagnosed with anorexia you got to a low weight, it doesn't prove that you're any more sick than anyone else. Like, someone who's underweight could live their whole life underweight and survive, but someone who's a healthy weight could live their whole life with an eating disorder and die at a young age. Weight really doesn't prove the severity of your sickness. The desire to be sick is proof that you're already sick. No healthy person desires to be more sick. I just really want everyone to understand that sickness at any size, like health at any size and sickness at any size. I think there needs to be a new like sickness at any size, because there's a massive problem with it in the eating disorder community. There's a massive problem with before and after photos as well, and these skinny girls posting their skinny photos and their healthy weight photos really proves absolutely nothing. The only thing I think it proves for them is that they're still clinging on to their disorder. They're still seeking external validation. They're doing it, I think, to prove their sickness, but all that they're proving is that we have a long way to go, and people still have this distorted image of what eating disorders look like in their heads. And also, just because someone's a healthy weight doesn't mean they're healthy. Like, for ages I was at a healthy weight and I was still getting these thoughts that I had when I was at an unhealthy weight. You know, it doesn't prove anything. My heart really does break for overweight and fat people who have like atypical anorexia, because they are not seen as sick enough. They could die at any minute and they'll get complimented on their weight loss. It's disgusting and heartbreaking. There's this poet on YouTube, like she does like slam poetry. I watched her video ages ago when I was really young, and it really resonated with me. It was when the fat girl gets skinny, and she talked about her experience of being fat and losing weight because of her eating disorder and her getting compliments on it, and it's really like well done and well spoken. I just want to say that it's never going to be enough. You might get to a goal weight, I'm really sorry if this is triggering, but you might get to a weight that you thought would make you feel sick enough, but it's never going to be enough. Your eating disorder wants to kill you. Your eating disorder basically wants you dead. It wants to like malnourish you and kill you. It will never be enough, so that's why sick enough isn't a thing. There's no such thing as, oh, I'll get to X amount of pounds and I'll be happy and I'll be satisfied and I'll start recovery because I'll be done with it. Like, I'll put it behind me and I'll feel validated. It doesn't work like that. It literally will never be enough, and your disorder will never be satisfied. Like, there needs to be more education on eating disorders, because when society and when in movies, like, it's always portrayed as a really underweight white girl, like classic teenage skinny white girl, like we have this image in our minds and we internalize it ourselves. And so in that waiting list period, you want to look very like typical anorexia. Like, it's just the way the disorder works. It's a very naturally competitive disorder. So it's like, you can't blame the patients for wanting to get worse. Like, the whole fucking world needs educating on this, and it's killing people. This fucking image we have of eating disorders being one size is literally killing people, because it's these people who are sick in the mind, like with these mental illnesses, who want to get to this goal of what the image they have in their mind, but they literally dying. Like, this disorder's no joke, and it's so dangerous. Like, it's the highest mortality rate out of all the mental illnesses. The image we have in our mind is so false, and it's not everybody's experience. My heart breaks for the people who have died at healthy weights and aren't getting the same attention as people who are at low weights. That feeling of not sick enough is a universal eating disorder experience. It's actually a part of the disorder, the not sick enough thing. It's a thing that people feel, but there's no such thing as being sick enough, because you are already sick. Like, if you are desiring to be sick, you are already sick. You're already very deserving of help. You deserve recovery as you are now. You don't deserve recovery once you hit a certain weight, because it will never be enough. There's never a perfect time to recover. It's not something you can easily turn on and off. So you can't just say, once I get to this weight, I'm gonna recover, I'm gonna be fine, I'll be happy. It's not you though, it's like the medical system is deeply at fault here too. For years, doctors and other medical practitioners have been bringing the weight stigma and size bias to their patients. A person in a larger body who has developed a critically unhealthy eating disorder, like, literally gets praised for losing weight in the doctor's office and outside the doctor's office. Someone who has orthorexia, someone who seems like very fit and healthy, they get so many comments, how do you do it? Like, teach me your ways. They're struggling with orthorexia. Like, what you think is healthy might not be healthy at all. What you think is unhealthy might not be unhealthy at all. You never know by looking at someone how healthy they are, so people need to stop, like, body shaming. Plus, a quick note on body shaming: if you're gonna comment on some fat person's post saying how unhealthy they are, like, think about what that's doing for their mental health. If you care about a stranger's health that much, don't say something that's going to damage their mental health, because mental health is just as important as physical health. Eating disorders are a mental illness, not a physical illness. Also, like, contrary to popular belief, the vast majority of people with eating disorders are not living at a low body weight, and guess what? They're sick. They're sick enough they have an eating disorder. Like, there's no one measurement, there's no one weight. Also, like, the way that anorexia is seen as, like, one better than bulimia, and bulimia is seen as one better than binge eating, and there's, like, this hierarchy that doesn't help. It's all a mess. Malnutrition exists at any body size. I hope this helped. Sorry, my dog is popping off. It's a really hard one to actually accept, because our beliefs about eating disorders are quite internalised. We get fed these misconceptions all the time through media, TV, even our doctors. It's quite disturbing when you think about it. We just need to keep fighting, and those in recovery need to keep fighting for those who are still struggling. I hope you have a good rest of the week and stay strong. So cringe. I sound like I'm trying to be like Demi Lovato in 2012. Thank you for watching.